Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Trudograd with me, BringItDon. So a commenter had suggested that the note we read last episode was hinting at how we're supposed to get through this bunker without getting blown to bits. So we're going to try and take off all of our weapons and see if the turrets will stand down as we make our way through. Now it's possible that power armor will still be counted as a weapon of some kind, but we'll see. Alright, moment of truth. Nope, didn't work. A ton of damage. But again, it could be that the power armor counts as a weapon. It's better to take that off for that to actually work. Which I'm not going to do because we're carrying way too much stuff and I don't want to leave anything behind. That's really cool. Alright, so Hexagen, because his weapon has such great range, he can actually shoot these guys. Shoot the turrets while staying behind the red line. I do like how they keep the companions behind the red line. Because otherwise they'd probably die. I think this is new. Is it better than the SMG? 7 to 14, 8 to 15 is a straight upgrade. Alright, neat. Every button on the plastic keyboard of this loudly humming, buzzing and blinking computer is covered with black tape. Only the enter key has escaped this sorry fate. Was that the only key used to operate this device? Or the device? Read the information on the device's display. Main entrance hall security systems online. Disable? Press the enter button. You rest your finger on the key, hesitate for half a second, and finally press it. Your so-called reward is an eerie grinding sound coming from somewhere behind the wall. You should probably check where exactly, and what's changed in the nearby room. You stand before the already familiar computer. Its limited functionality testifies to either the narrow-mindedness of those who worked on it, or some disaster from years past, resulting in the almost complete destruction of the keyboard. Read the information on the device's display. Management hall security systems offline. Enable? We will not enable them. In fact, let's see if the turrets... Yes, the turrets were disabled, but we still have to fight the robots, it looks like. Which I should be able to reach with my hammer, making things a little easier. Don't die here. Alright, push it a little close. It's alright though, I can heal up now. Oh, she's crit for 104 damage. It's been doing like 10 damage to these things, and there's the random 104 shot. Alright, I leveled up. Fantastic. Five points to spend. Let's see. Later in the night. I'll take it anyway. Can't hurt to have. You approach a broad display showing a map of Earth and freeze in silence. This device's function is to receive data from a reconnaissance satellite, which is apparently still in orbit, having outlived the country, maybe even the people who launched it. I read about the satellite. The internal date processing system was lost as of the year 2000, and only partially restored after synchronization with the host computer on Earth. According to the system, this satellite, called Inverter A2, in honor of its parent's facility, was launched in calculation error via the Railgun. That launch caused a complete blackout in Trudograd and the surrounding area. Electricity wasn't restored until the next day. It was then decided to suspend further testing until the Railgun was complete and shipped to the Selaspil NPP. Unfortunately, that never came to pass. The Inverter A2 satellite survived in orbit to this very day. However, it can no longer send digital images or determine the coordinates and exact dates of recorded events, among other things. Study the satellite report log. It appears the satellite's surviving sensors have a truncated range, and only report on things happening in Earth's orbit and stratosphere. Therefore, the list of log entries is rather short. Reports from 1986. Inverter A2, date error, 1986. Counting error. Arcade class ballistic missiles launches recorded. Inverter A2, date error, 1986. Calculation error. Thermonuclear reactions recorded in calculation error. Kilometer radius. Release of scanning error. Roentgen into upper atmosphere recorded. Preparing for collision with EM blast wave. Inverter A2, date error, 1986. Earth orbit displaced by calculation error degrees. Reports from 1993. Inverter A2, date error, 1993. Entry of unidentified object into Earth orbit recorded. Inverter A2, date error, 1993. Unidentified object left Earth orbit with initial velocity of calculation error kilometer per second. So UFO. Reports from 2006. Inverter Inverter A2, date error 2006, counting error, synchronous launches of unidentified object into Earth orbit recorded. 2006. Now return to previous menu. Synchronization complete, enter command. Examine the satellite control panel. You don't understand even the most basic function of this incomprehensible device, let alone how to control a satellite in orbit. Well, I do have a trick up my sleeve. I can find it. Got a toolbox around here somewhere that should help out just a smidge. Perfect. Examining the control panel, you're amazed at the sheer scope of the pre-war scientist's ambition. The satellite has intricate controls allowing specialists to pilot it from Earth. It also relayed sound, visual data, and text messages, and could attack enemy satellites with a device known as the Low Earth Orbit Ion Cannon. Regrettably, by now much of this functionality has fallen into disrepair. The remaining available commands are useful only to sabotage the device in a bout of juvenile vandalism. You can turn the satellite around using its last functioning engine, and send it on a one-way trip into deep space. Order the satellite to endlessly transmit a short sound message of your choosing. Now let's do this. You enter the command, and the globe on the screen is replaced by an outdated schematic of the solar system. Esper Star, among other things, isn't shown. Most commands are obviously unavailable, due to the state of the satellite's rotary module. The choices on hand are few and meaningless. You're not going to let that stop you, right? Alright, 4. Send the satellite to explore the tumultuous depths of Uranus. Jiggling and rubbing your hands together, you fill out a small digital form that appears on the display. In response, the satellite reports. Inverter A2 performs the assigned task, probing Uranus. That's just grand. Step away from the computer. Alright, Blaze leveled up. Well, that was fun. So I'm having a hard time reading today. I am reading fine, but the words aren't coming out right. Stopping in front of a dusty computer, forgotten in an office that was evacuated almost a quarter century ago, you push the power button, but it doesn't respond. Its 4 standard rechargeable batteries ran out of juice long ago. Connect to the device's memory with your electronic tablet. You connect to the computer using your tablet. The tired machine's magnetic drive is badly worn, so you probably won't be able to open it again. Anything that interests you, you have to learn in a single session. The dilapidated machine may hold a lot of interesting information, because judging by the on-screen welcome text, it belongs to none other than Professor Goryachev. Welcome to the network, Professor Goryachev. Today is the something of error, year 000X. A great time for labor and science. Check out the information section. We learned that this computer is created for an inverter for staff use. Professor Goryachev only used it for around 6 months, mainly to send messages to his superiors. Thanks to the passage of time, the device is on the verge of shutting down. I run the program responsible for eternal correspondence. Goryachev's email is full of complaints, waiting to be sent to the top management with a single button press. In each message, the professor denounces the low intellectual abilities, incompetence, and anti-Soviet sentiment and alcoholism of some random colleague that we shared the inverter workshops. It looks like the scientist collected dozens of dossiers on his comrades in research, was waiting for the right moment to use them to advance his career, either out of a deep sense of duty or due to banal pettiness. The last war ruined his plans, though. None of the complaints were ever sent. Open the project's folder dedicated to the Railgun. The folder is filled with highly technical, hard-to-parse information. It concerns the different stages in the development of the OR-1 electromagnetic cannon, also known as the Railgun. The most important detail you discover is this. By the time Inverter was evacuated at the beginning of the war, the Railgun is basically finished. Not only that, it was even used to launch the Inverter 2A reconnaissance satellite during field testing. The only components it lacked before the facility shut its doors was an armored outer shell, a power source, and a special chassis. In place of this last piece, the Railgun is modified to use a railcar. This means that when you find the legendary cannon, Atom scientists will only need to power it up and point it at their target. If nothing goes perfectly awry at the very last moments of your mission, that is. Open the project's folder dedicated to Firewheel 2. The folder contains information about Trudograd's experimental air defense system, which apparently saved the city from the bombs during the last war. For an undisclosed personal reason, Gorbachev flatly refused to take part in this project. Alright, finished working with this computer. Forever. I don't think I've missed anything there. Wait, he can't carry that, can he? Get rid of that and that, thank you. You approach the ghostly flickering of the terminal and squint at the message frozen on the faded screen. Attention! Due to the 3 AK alarm being triggered, protocol number 357 has been implemented. Bash the device. Introduce the terminal to your world-famous left hook, a teaming result which is both predictable and unfortunate. Terminal's metal case warps with a mournful creak. The menu is replaced with a chaotic set of ones and zeros. Stupid machine done broke. Well... had a feeling. Doctor's cap. See, I told you I can't read today. It's 5 to first aid. Keep it on hand. Empty bookshelf, my butt. All sorts of valuable stuff in there. Oh, we got another fight ahead of us. Alright, team, let's roll. Let's actually use burst. I guess because he was in range. I think they have to be within a certain closeness or proximity to use burst. so that one's not currently aggroed. So we'll go back here and loot this stuff before we go fight him. In fact, he looks a lot like the one robot from the base game. The one you can kick yourself to death on. Let's heal up before we do anything else. Alright, Engineer Garen's complaint. Rectangular piece of shabby paper torn from a pre-war diary. Comrade Kaldiv, on a report that before igniting itself, the BR-4 combat robot entered the railgun station of its own volition, using its ocular sensor to bypass the security door. Comrade Reapin instructed me to repair it, but I doubt this is an appropriate solution. My opinion is we should scrap both the BR-4 and all the SB-2 turrets, melt them down. Otherwise, we may face a repeat of the Vil A situation. Nobody wants that, as I'm sure you will agree. Sincerely, Senior Engineer Garen A.N. Yes, so Vil N was the AI from the base game, which inhabited a robot much like this is body. Which is not the same one you could kick yourself to death on. There are two of these robots in the base game. Ocular sensor. A box with colored wires and a lens sticking out of it. Apparently it belongs to a robot. Maybe he'll let us pass if we give him the sensor? I guess we'll see. A quick inspection of the pre-war computer leads you to an unambiguous conclusion. This device is directly related to Firewheel 2, an experimental air defense system that safeguarded Trudograd during the last war. The following options are available. Device information. A series of clicks, the ancient computer calls up a help page. Studying it, realize this machine has no strategic value. Its only function is to remotely monitor and back up Trudograd's secret air defense system. The installation itself was never located in the inverter facility, but in a military bunker 30 kilometers from Trudograd, the location of which is not described. Firewheel 2 diagnostics. The terminal remained silent for a long time, except for the occasional whir of the hard drive that slowly displays some disheartening information. The legendary Trudograd air defense system has been offline since 1992. Yeah, that's a really good year. Something called a causality retromodulator is completely de-energized. The so-called determinism modulator has been awaiting for a reboot for 15 years, after committing what the log calls an illegal calculation. The missile systems KKA, KKB, and KKC are out of ammo. Except that a certain EMP gadget is still available to repel air attacks, but it cannot be activated without repairing the first two devices mentioned in the report. In a word, if Trudograd becomes a target for ICBMs again, its fate won't be as rosy as last time. Autologs. The screen goes blank for a moment, then flashes again, displaying a wall of technical data. Despite the time and date system having gone bananas, with the report dated to the year 0086, you see that it describes the events of the last war, according to Air Defense System's central computer. Many of the protocols and devices described here are completely unfamiliar to you, but then, you never specialized in air defense systems. Report 0086-1. Attention. Causality retromodulator activated. Attention. Threat detected. Level red, 83 RK class missiles will enter operational radius in T 812 seconds. Defense protocol initiated. Rerouting protocol to on standby. Neutralization protocol on standby. Attention. Causality retromodulator. Minority report from Cognitive Core 2. R9 RK class missiles will enter operational radius in T-932 seconds. Cognitive Core majority vote. Accept correction. Determinism modulator. Adopting correction. Defense protocol initiated. Report 00862. Determinism modulator. R6 RK class missiles neutralized. Determinism modulator. 21 RK class missiles neutralized. Determinism modulator warning. Cognitive core buffer overflow imminent. EMP generator initiated. EMP generator 28 RK class missiles rerouted. EMP generator insufficient power shutting down. Report 00863. KKB launchers initiated. Waiting for target acquisition. KKB launchers. 16 RK class missiles neutralized. Cognitive core 18. Threat neutralized. 91 out of 91 RK class missiles neutralized. Standby mode initiated. Screen goes blank for a moment, then flashes again. You're back on the main menu. Alright, and then staff reports. You access a special section where all the manually entered reports and personnel notes should be stored. However, it contains only a single message, sent to this terminal from the outside in 1992. Open the document. Well. Looks like this file is encrypted. Can you decipher it? Break the encryption. Everything you try is useless. You slap the computer in annoyance, and it returns to the main menu. I think that's as good as I get, too. Yeah. Well, so be it. You frown at the dimly flickering monitor. It seems inverter personnel relied heavily on such devices, and spared no expense on their upkeep. That'd explain how this thing is still functional, though barely. The message frozen on the display reads, "Access to the modified train. To the right, the rectangular metal plate emits a barely audible hum." Put Gorychev's keycard to the metal plate. All is quiet. It seems access to said train must be obtained in some other way. Or at least you hope so, and the terminal isn't broken. Otherwise, you're pretty much screwed. I present the ocular sensor to the metal plate. You wave a robotic eye over the plate, hoping for a response. Nothing happens at first. You're already sweating profusely, fearing the machine is kaput after so many years of inactivity. But then the metal gates open with a rusty creak. You glance quickly around. The deep noise rumbling through the bunker could have attracted anyone or anything. However, so far everything is quiet, excluding a slight hum in the distance, somewhat resembling the howl of the elevator you used to get here. Matters not. Ready yourself, Railgun. Donnie is coming to face you. Am I? Did the doors not have opened? Alright guys, y'all get out here out of the way, please. Thank you. Well, that's a big gun. What if they were compensating for something? Good old Hexogen. Mine's always in the gutter.
You cautiously step inside, ready for any kind of trick or trap. But what you see makes you forget your trepidation. Before you is an underground railway platform with a dark tunnel leading off in either direction. This, however, is not what stops you in your tracks. The car currently parked on the platform, not 20 meters away, is carrying a strange and hulking piece of artillery. Yes, there can be no doubt. This is the famed Railgun, the exact same device you studied back at Atom HQ.
Examine the railgun from afar.
The legendary Railgun is secretly anchored by steel cables to a specially designed car of an underground train. Hopefully it's still in working order. You're guessing it must be, given that the other tech you stumbled on in the bunker is more or less operational. As you're pondering the matter, the clatter of footsteps makes you spin about.
Who's there?
Soldiers clad in special armor enter the underground station. One of them doffs his helmet, Minister Voronin himself. It seems he's the leader of this detachment. His people take up strategic positions as you wait, studying their every movement. Astonishing, the old man whispers, bewitched by what he's seeing.
Have you already repelled the attack on the city?
The Minister of Defense turns as if noticing your presence for the first time. Not yet. I was informed that you had successfully accessed the bunker, so I decided to break from the Battle of Trudograd for just a few minutes. He scans the chamber again. Truly an amazing installation, built to last for centuries.
No doubt. Did you come here to help me?
No, not really. Voronin exchanges a quick glance with his subordinates and assumes a creepily benevolent tone. A question, if I may. What do you need this huge cannon for? It has something to do with the theoretical menace posed by the Hesperus star, correct?
Yes. Except that Hesperus isn't a star, but an asteroid whose trajectory intersects with Earth.
So I've heard. And where did you get this information about the Hesperus star? Voronin lowers his gaze and grimly adds, I'm not saying it's impossible, but the probability of the space rock colliding with a planet is vanishingly small.
The danger has been confirmed by our best experts.
Yes, we know this already from your radio communications. It's just... He pauses to search for the right words. The railgun is a dangerous weapon, yet you somehow managed to get to it, even in this nigh impenetrable bunker. You really think no warlord out there could steal it back from Adam? Plus, Voronin hesitates again before continuing in a steely voice. How can you be so sure that some corrupt member of your organization won't use the railgun for his own selfish goals?
Well, to my understanding, the railgun is not efficient in its usage anyway, so even if someone did want to, they could only use it once or twice. This is absurd. We'll need this contraption to counter the danger approaching Earth.
That's what you say. However, first of all, what makes you so sure that the danger to Earth is even real? Second, how do you know the railgun can counter it? And last, what if some third party steals it from Adam and turns it into a long-range assault cannon? Voronin squints at you suspiciously. I once believed that giving the device to Adam was the best option, but ever since the assault on Trudograd, I've begun to have my doubts. Can you imagine what would happen if Sioma Veronok got his grubby paws on such a gadget? And Sioma isn't even the worst thing out there.
Should have, could have, don't matter. An Adam detachment has already been dispatched for Trudograd. They'll be here soon.
Regrettable. They will surely try to stop us. With a practiced motion, Minister Voronin dons the huge helmet. It fixes to his armor with a soft hydraulic hiss. The last thing you see of the man's face before the steel shell obscures it completely is clear-eyed determination, the will to fight to the bitter end.
So, can we actually side with Voronin? You know how Adam began. You know we would never use the railgun for evil, that we wouldn't ask for it without a good reason.
With a hoarse sigh, Voronin shakes his head. Your words have touched him, even if he hasn't changed his mind. I confess, the Adam I used to know seemed to be in a very capable hand. But that was decades ago. In the world we lost thanks to weapons with less destructive potential than this magnetic cannon. How can I know the Adam of today is equally righteous?
The very fact of us meeting in this place is proof that Adam's mission has not changed. We're still loyal to our military oath. An oath you yourself once swore to follow, General.
Voronin sighs heavily. You've awakened something of the old soldier in this Trudogradian bureaucrat, even if only for one elusive moment. However much I wish to deny it, I really do know Adam has not changed its ways. I can see it in your eyes, but icy determination returns to the man's voice. How can I know that you'll keep this device away from scum like those raging through the city right now?
Not even the best soldier we've got. The Trudograd is back under control. You can escort us to the central base yourself, to ensure we are well protected. I'll personally arrange it.
A ringing silence descends upon the bunker. Veronin seems to be searching for something in you that would allow him and his fighters to carry out his original plan. All he desires is a single, tiny clue. Any reason at all to doubt you. But he finds none. We shall see, the old soldier finally replies and turns his back to you. His fighters all lower their weapons, and the clicking of multiple safety mechanisms turning on signals an end to the confrontation. Only when he's standing beneath the steel arch, leading back to the inverter facility, does Veronin glance back. I will be expecting you, he says dryly, and throws you a crisp salute. Veronin's fighters follow his example.
Salute back. You made the right decision, General.
After receiving the Railgun coordinates, a special atom unit was immediately dispatched to Trudograd, where they secured safe transportation of the device through an underground tunnel network. When the agents reached the city, this is what they found. The revolutionary movement was victorious in a battle that raged across every sector of Trudograd. After fending off the northern menace, they quickly formed a new government made up of committee members and busied themselves introducing social, economical, and political reforms. Their goal was the creation of a strong, expansive, and internationally active Trudograd. Under the new regime, the city grew and flourished, while the newly empowered proletariat hunted down and eliminated every remnant of the previous government, expunging the old order for good. Seventh Heaven, Trudograd's grandiose folly, was thoroughly purged during the first days of the revolution. Along with all their precious possessions, the Fat Cats' lives were forfeit. Their properties were occupied by rebel leaders. Their belongings divided amongst the citizenry, and the district was open to all citizens. This state of affairs only lasted a few years, however, at which point the new authorities began slowly separating themselves from the common man to decide the fate of the proletariat from on high, without any annoying interference. The Trudogradian division of Guangzhou Merchants Group survived the unrest without serious losses. More importantly, the profits they earned during the political struggle would become the stuff of legend. Widespread word of Guangzhou's business savvy would soon attract even more trade to the city. With the shackles of classism struck from the hands and feet of the people, Comrade Blaze struggled with the hardest decision of her life. In the end, her heart's desire to continue fighting at your side finally succumbed to her sense of duty. After saying her goodbyes, Blaze dedicated herself to a new purpose: the education, empowerment, and mentorship of the free working class. 3 years later, the Revolutionary Committee sent her on an important diplomatic mission beyond the walls of Trudograd. She never returned from the eastern steppes, and her fate remains unknown. When the situation in Trudograd had calmed somewhat, your self-declared father insisted on remaining in the city to immortalize your recent adventures in a grand novel to be titled Comrade Railgun. While you never actually read the book, you later heard it acclaimed as the most beloved piece of literature ever written within Trudograd's walls, which unfortunately did not save Hexogen from being condemned to a life sentence a few months later. His follow-up essay urging Atom to level Trudograd so that humanity may return to a natural woodland habitat was not popular with the authorities. The elderly writer is now reputed to reside in a warm, comfy cell. His fellow political prisoners hail him as their spiritual leader. and impatiently await his magnum opus, sadistically sentenced but not sodomized. As for you, after things had calmed somewhat in the city above, you rendezvoused with your fellow Aton members and led them to the Railgun. Now, while watching the delegation's scientists prepare the weapon for transport, you cannot help but ponder the question that never seems to leave your mind. Can this rusty old cannon truly be humanity's last hope? Or was the adventure which touched so many lives in Trudograd just pointless busywork? It seems your quandary must go unanswered, at least for the time being. The freight train is fueled and ready to go, but there are still some checks to be passed before the convoy rolls off into the underground network. With nothing to do but wait for deployment, you decide to spend your last moments warming yourself at a burning barrel. A man is waiting there when you arrive. Short, hunchbacked and raggedy, he entered the bunker alongside the Aton operatives, and is now warming his bones by the fire. His face is completely concealed in the depths of a voluminous cowl, yet somehow you know he is smiling.
It's not too loud. I'm gonna try and talk over it. What a wonderful expansion. One, it's only $10, and it's not much shorter than the base. Well, again, I read everything out loud, so it really slows down the pace of the game. So I think it wouldn't be nearly as long as it would be for the typical player, but definitely worth that price point. I mean, the base game is like $15, and definitely worth that price point as well. But man, they made so many steps in the right direction with this expansion. I want a full-length game with all the improvements they made from the base game to this. It's just so many improvements just across the board. The skill system, perk system, skill points. Now, once you hit certain thresholds, you get more perks for investing into certain skills. The actual perks leveling with you as you go, which I guess doesn't make as much sense like a lower level campaign like the base game was, but with the expansion, obviously you have a higher. I think we hit level 36. I lost track. I think it was 36. So it makes more sense to scale it. And it, I don't even know what the max level is. I think it's 99. Don't quote me on that though. I know if you can keep running out random encounters if you want to. Yeah, I really like just the smaller focused setting being in the city, which makes a lot more sense for an expansion anyway. And I'm wondering if they're going to do more expansions or make another game, because we still have Sima Veronica, who's been a threat since the base game. I can see us going to the north and dealing with him. Maybe we take care of the Hesperus Star, and then the next looming threat is the Northerners. I do think there is a missed opportunity to have a animal companion like Zulbars. Either have Zulbars accompany you if you had him in the previous game, or you recruit that dog that you trained, or you get an armored bear, or both. Dog and an armored bear. I mean, can't get wrong with that. But it's possible that the dog just wasn't balanced for a higher level campaign, and they didn't want to make it balanced for a higher level campaign. Because Zilbar's tended to be the weaker link in the base game. Because he's usually up in melee where I was at, he wasn't nearly as tanky as I was. Yeah, just what a fantastic experience across the board. I've always loved Adam RPG. It's a really good throwback to Fallout 2, though this one I think took itself a little bit more seriously. There's still a ton of references, as with the base game, but it wasn't as goofy. It didn't feel as goofy. I felt like the story was a little bit more, took itself a little bit more seriously, which I did appreciate. It was a nice change of pace. Yeah, I was glad I played through it. I hope you guys enjoyed the Let's Play. That's going to do it for this series. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next one.